Yeah, morning all, welcome to this very quick video regarding yesterday, last night's events, etc, etc, and a bit of an odd one for me and Ray because I was, obviously last week, last week Saturday, I was at my lowest ebb after an absolute disastrous Saturday itself and coming away from a panic day transfer of... Do you remember this? Does anybody remember this last week? Bringing in Haaland, captaining him, mancity then ended up drawing 0-0 and then eventually once the game week ended it turned out okay. And I said during the stream, or the video, I keep saying stream, it's a video, where I basically was just, stuff this game, I'm leaving the team as it is, basically this team here. Other than it was Isaac instead of Watkins and Haaland had the captaincy. You know what? I wish I just took my own advice. I wish I was still suicidal. Ooh. And wish I just left the team as it was. Now, obviously as the week we went through and things calmed down, had a really good conversation with Gary and Trigger Lips and moving forward, me and Ray were like, look, we've calmed down now, we've breathed. Logic dictates to get rid of Isaac, bring in Watkins. Watkins has got a good fixture. And then, of course, when it comes towards me looking at whoscored.com, looking at the form, history, etc., and I'm looking at it going, Watkins against Tottenham is rubbish, does nothing. Tottenham against Aston Villa, apart from 2 games in which Tottenham scored 4 goals, it's usually ended 2-1. And then I looked at the form table and everything was in favour of Aston Villa winning, but not by many. It was either 1-0 or 2-1. Basically, not high scoring games, very tight games, you know, 1 goal in it. And yeah, rightly so, you could argue, well, of the 2 goals, Ollie Watkins could get a goal and assist. What happens? Turns out he gets a poxy assist in one of the most dullest, well, I wouldn't go as far as to say one of the most dullest games of football I've ever seen. That was Brighton versus Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. That was shit. But, yeah, coming away from that with a Watkins headed assist, very fortunate. I was listening into Gary's stream with Andrew and D Unit. I was really enjoying it. And then the second I see Watkins being taken off, turn off. I don't care anymore. And there was a moment where Ollie Watkins was slightly put through. And I think this moment kind of for me sums up why Ollie Watkins just isn't up there with the elite FPL type of strikers, or more specifically the striker that could take the likes of Chelsea to the next level, or could take the likes of Tottenham to the next level. Is that he was through and then he somehow just, and this isn't just the one time I've seen this thousands of times with Ollie Watkins. He just ends up essentially tripping over his own feet and just kind of swiping at the ball. Is it Kinski? Oh, kinky, as David Brent says. Oh, Kimski. And he just flaps at the shot. Kimski comes out, grabs it, and rightly so, Andrew was going mental about that, thinking he was going to score, and it's no. Because Watkins is a striker, he's just your, like I state, he's an elite championship striker. Premier League, he's good, he is very good, but I think Aston Villa is about his level. And I think that actually Emre's right in thinking that Ollie Watkins isn't a first teamer. I agree with that. I just don't think he is. And certainly I think with Ollie Watkins, like I said, I've seen this loads of times with him. Scuffing shots, missing easy efforts. And I came away from that game just thinking, I've regretted not captaining Haaland. I've now regretted it. Now, obviously that's with hindsight, but, you know, here we go, saying the same old thing. I just wish I went with my gut, all my suicidal thoughts, and just went with the Haaland captaincy and just not even bothered bringing Watkins. Then we switched over to the Chelsea at home to Man United, and like I stated, I went out for a long walk and I was listening into D-Unit kind of talking briefly about the game occasionally, and he just said the line, it's like both teams are cancelling each other out. It's like they don't even want to win. When I put the game on, that's exactly what it was. An absolutely dreadful Man United team up against an absolutely dreadful Chelsea team. And when, I forget his name, Tyler George? Who? When he was brought down by Onana and the referee immediately pointed to the spot, I just was like, but then we saw that it wasn't a penalty whatsoever. It was not necessarily a dive, but made the most of it. Thankfully, Palmer didn't get the penalty, and then later down the line when Cucurella scored, I did smile because I had 50p on him anytime goal score or assist, 3-1. Like I said, I love gambling. It's great, it's brilliant. But hence 1-0. Obviously, Harry Maguire had a goal ruled out due to, according to D-Unit, the sleeve was offside. But again, what did history suggest? A very tight game. What did it end up being? A very tight game. I do question the sanity, though, of people that brought in Palmer. There were people like Firetog that captained him. Now, yes, he could have had a penalty. Yeah, he could have done. I think I got away. Well, I say got away with it. It was clearly not a penalty, but I saw nothing from Palmer in that game. Nothing for anybody to justify ever having him in your team again. It will be interesting to see his price next season. What did he start this year? 10.5, 11 million? I think they'll knock off 0.5 of Palmer. And, of course, I think the big winners last night were easily anybody that owns the defensive assets. The likes of Martinez, Konza, Cucurella. I saw Dan. Unbelievable. Dan got 37 points last night. I'll show you his team. Dan got 37 points last night. And it was all because of his defensive assets. As you will see here. Martinez. And there he is. Cucurella. There is that man. Cucurella. And he also had Rodgers and Watkins captain. Not going to lie, Dan ain't going to be watching this. When I saw Dan had captain Watkins, I rolled my eyes like, brilliant. A shit player's captain, my captain, great. You all know what that means. He's going to fail, which I think he did. I think it is a fail. You know, I wrote a quick comment in the live chat on Gary's stream saying watch-alongs just destroy, just jinx everything. It's the curse of the watch-alongs. And he said, well, everything went right for him, which is true. Yeah, it all depends on circumstances. But from my point of view, an absolute waste of time. 2-0 and 1-0. I mean, D-Unit joked about what if both games ended 0-0 on his deadline stream. Because I'm not going to lie, I did actually listen into his deadline stream. And again, I actually genuinely enjoyed it. Because he's got character. But he joked about the fact that what if both games end 0-0? Well, to be completely frank, the way both games were, if they ended 0-0, no teams would have had any complaints. And by the way, Man United will be beating Tottenham. Christ almighty, I thought Man United were bad. Tottenham, they are utterly hopeless. You know when you just know that the manager's leaving no matter what, and you as a workforce are just so dejected and just do not care. It doesn't matter what. An example being, take The Office. Actually, I know it's a fictional show, but everybody's going to the end of year party, but they're all really, really dejected and annoyed because they all know that the Swindon branch is going to be the one that's kept open rather than the Slough branch, and David Brent comes through and he tells everybody that basically you're not going to lose your jobs. We're going to take over. Yeah? Hip hip hooray for David Brent. Hip hip hip. Don't worry about it. And then people are like, oh brilliant. We've kept up. Brilliant. Kind of like Tottenham at the moment. It's this. We've ended up 17th in the Premier League. We know our manager's leaving. And we got a Europa League final to fucking play. I can't be bothered. That's what it felt like last night. God, do we have to play this fucking game? Just give them the 3 points. Just forfeit the match. We lose 3-0, which was close enough anyway. And that's it, done. And we'll just focus on the Europa League final. But yeah, that was miserable. And then when watching the Man United game, do you know the one thing that stuck out for me? Now, I know this anyway, but just what a petulant prat Bruno Fernandes is. I actually find it quite embarrassing. When on Juice, they were talking about character and personality for an ultimate footballer that they were creating, and I can't remember which one it was, and Ash was on top form. He was pure Booker T on Juice the other day. Absolute gold dust. There was Nima was talking about whatever footballers, and he's just like, yeah. Well, they were talking about captaincies and the likes of Steven Gerrard, for instance. Nick chose Gerrard, and he just encapsulates what a captain should be about. Anyway, he said words to the effect, I think it was Nick. Yeah, well, it must have been Nick. He said words to the effect of, unlike that idiot, Fernandes. And I've never seen such a petulant child in my life. No. Just any opportunity he gets to fall on the floor, any opportunity he gets to complain to the referee. It's just morbid. That's your captain. Steve Merchant says to Carl, and that's your girlfriend, Carl. And that's the Man United captain. And there was the odd opportunity that he had to potentially score, but he then, of course, he blames all the other players around him. Why don't you put the ball there? Why don't you pass it at that moment? Why don't you shoot at this point here? Why don't you get me there? Mate, I think you should be the one that should be kind of encouraging your players and maybe driving your players forward, and maybe not, maybe in training go through all of this. I just, like I said, I find it embarrassing. And I know D-Unit as a Man United fan was talking about Fernandes and how he's created the most goals or created the most assists or whatever the stat is. And yet if he had a player like Cunha, for instance, or Watkins, he'd probably have the most assists ever in the history of the Premier League. But at the end of the day, he's got to work with what he's got. And like I say, it's just seeing a petulant child just angry that they haven't got their toys or whatnot. So, yeah. Anybody that's come out of last night that's done well. Another one actually was Harbour Boy. He did very well from last night. In fact, because he didn't have Watkins, he went with Rodgers, and yeah, he ended up with 33 points. But as you can see here, double Aston Villa, Konza Martinez, and Rodgers captain. I'm quite within reason. I'm the one player that now makes me nervous is Mbeumo. I know Andrew, for instance, captain Mbeumo. I'm just grateful that I have the players at least, if anything, I miss out on, whatever it turns out to be. But yeah, the team going into tomorrow's matches, I mean, I don't even know who I've got playing. Milenkovic, Elanga, and Burmo, and Cunha. No, not even Cunha. All my players are basically playing on Tuesday. So Henderson, Vardiol, Ait-Nouri, Eze, De Bruyne, Haaland, and Cunha. All playing on Tuesday. So, yeah, it's going to be literally, my game week is going to be decided on Tuesday. Unless, by some miracle, Nottingham Forest keep a clean sheet against West Ham in a 0-0. I wouldn't be surprised with a 0-0 result in that game. And then Burmo blanks. But certainly looking through the odd team here or there that surrounds me, I think I did get away with last night, and it was just mainly, I think, without repeating myself, but I will. Anybody with defensive assets last night will be very, very happy. Obviously, it's the mancity Crystal Palace FA Cup final today. Really, 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 really hope Crystal Palace can win. I think they can win. I think if they just did what they did at the Etihad, just have some balls, go in with some confidence, and really get at. I think if Eze had scored that third goal, if it wasn't ruled offside, they would have gone on to win that game. But alas, we all know what happened in that. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a video tomorrow at some point reviewing what an absolute clusterfuck of a game of a Sunday that is, and yeah, see you later.